It's been a week since me and Gonzo were here. A lot's passed. Season ticket renewal window is shut. 92% of people renewed their season ticket. And Gonzo has signed our first player. He's not technically a West Ham player yet until another month, but we know he's joining West Ham.
Why is he not technically a West Ham player?
His contract with Fulham is until the 30th of June.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, Ryan Fredericks, as we discussed last week. Hopefully does quite well. It's a bit of competition. Back up to Zabaleta, of course.
I thought you'd be a bit more enthusiastic than that.
Mate, listen, as I said, I saw the guy play once. He looks quick, but he looks like he's got a tackle in him, nasty streak, so he might get a red card or two. Not, I don't particularly have a problem with that as a top Thomas Repka fan. No, it's I'm just maintaining the same level that I was last time. This is our first signing. It's a free signing from the Championship. So anything he goes on to do is fantastic. But yeah, I'll get excited when we start signing some players for money, certainly. So, but yeah, listen, I wish him well. I hope he does well. I think we needed cover in that position, but I'm not hailing him as the Messiah. You know, far from it. Leicester City have bought a right back, but Leicester City have bought a fantastic right back in Pereira. I think it was from Porto. Maybe it was on loan at France for a season. He is excellent. He's excellent. We've bought someone we hope might develop into something, but it's a player from the Championship like Hugo was.
He's technically a Premier League player now. Technically. Fulham are now in the Premier League. So, yeah, I'll give you that one, Bill. But I think it's a solid signing. I think it's risk-free. If he doesn't work out, we could probably get a couple of million for him in a year's time. He'll only be 26 years old. It's safe. But it does give us that option for the right back that we've now, like you, I'd never heard of him until January when we were linked with him. We're not going to sit here and pretend we know about him. I've seen him a handful of times. I don't think you can see him more than a handful of times unless you've got a Fulham season ticket because they're not on TV that much. But it gives us that option at right back to have someone that's pacier. And it gives it now, as you know, I've been wanting to see Zabaleta defensive midfield a little bit because Zabaleta's only weakness, in my opinion, is his pace. Everything else is fine. His fitness is fine. He can run about for 90 minutes. He's just not fast enough. His tackling's fine. He can read the game fine. His passing's fine. Everything about him is brilliant except his pace. Get him out the right back and put him in front of our defence where he doesn't have to cross the halfway line, really, removes that from his game altogether. It takes out his weakness. And now we've got a guy who's only got strengths about him. And it just gives us, one signing has meant we can add two different players in the first 11 in different positions. And I think that's important. And they're complete polar opposites. One is really attacking and really fast, and the other one's a bit slower. But defensively, he is solid at Zabaleta. Interesting signing. Risk adverse, but like you said, it is free. But I think it's important we do pick up a couple of bargains this summer in order to use the budget elsewhere. Because like I was saying to you at the end of last season, 75 million is not enough for us this summer because of the amount of players we need. You divide that by the amount of players we need, it works out 10, 50 million pound each. That is not enough. You need to save money somewhere. We've done it now. We've now got that extra 15 million we'd allocated to a right back, just spread across or lump it all into one extra player. So I think it's a clever signing. I'm happy with it, but I'm not going to be doing cartwheels because the main business is still to come. But it's positive. It is positive. It's 2-0 David Sullivan, if you like. He's done two things correct so far, none incorrect. But there's a little bit of opposites going on here. Yesterday, this thing came out about Pellegrini saying about how the owners need to loosen the purse strings a little bit, and he wants to spend money, he wants to get a good team, but the owners have to spend a little bit more cash. But tonight, literally about an hour ago, there was an article, an exclusive with the Mirror. Pellegrini said that he's got a good relationship with the owners, etc. I mean, first of all, this just sums up social media, if you like, where everybody throws their arms up at the air and runs about screaming. Because now, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what he said. I imagine the quotes are accurate because it would be a bit illegal to do that without them being accurate. But what's missing is the complete tone and context. Was he laid back or was he angry? The tone is massively important, and you can't get that from text. It's literally impossible. You'd have to watch the interview. There's no point doing that unless you can speak Spanish. So it's something I just ignored it, to be honest with you. So I went, fair enough, whatever. There's more to come from this. But what we'll say, he has said that comment, and even if he has said it laid back as if it was just, you know, something, good. He's now put pressure on Sullivan a little bit here and said, you've got to spend the money, because if you don't spend the money, the fans going to know who the problem is, because you can't pin this on the manager. Like you've tried to do the last 2 or 3 transfer windows. You said, oh, the manager wants this player, so we're going to get this player. Pellegrini's now come out and said, I want money and I want to sign, I think he said, a great player in order to encourage other players to come to West Ham United. But all those comments, etc., etc., what did you make of it all?
Yeah, I mean, I'd just be repeating what you said there. I thought social media's been bordering on the ridiculous, actually. Pellegrini is a calm and measured man. He speaks in diplomatic tones. When we were hiring him, we knew we'd getting a charming man. There's no way 2 weeks into his job that he was going to start firing nasty, barbed comments at the board from across the Atlantic from Chile. It just was never going to happen. There had to be context. I don't know how to speak Spanish, you say. I actually wanted to get one of my friends to listen to it for me. And I went and looked, and the interview was 27 minutes long. And I didn't understand it. I didn't listen to all of it, but he didn't just say 2 lines worth of stuff. He was speaking for 27 minutes. And I heard him say West Ham at the start, the middle, and the end. So clearly, if you're going to translate it, translate the whole lot. You know, as you should say, there was no context. But this is just more of the same, really. So we're outraged at the owners, and then we're delighted because Pellegrini's coming in. Oh, I don't know, signing's coming in. Hey, we've signed a right back, and oh, hold on, Pastore's not coming in. So, oh, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, whoa. And honestly, it does my nuts in, actually, because it's so early in the window. You just said it about the Fredericks thing. He's still fucking mosquito in here. Sorry, excuse me. He's contracted to Fulham until the end of the month. Pellegrini's still on his holiday. The director of football has not even, I think he only left Malaga yesterday or something like that. I think we've got enough credit in the bank to know that we will give the owners stick. I mean, we did it consistently last season. Literally rummage through the videos, take your pick. We're there giving them stick when they've not performed. But let's cut it a little bit of slack here. You know, everyone's going mental because a signing hasn't been made sort of now. And I've got to be honest with you, I find it very, very hard work, not just on social media. So you sort of click anywhere. It's difficult. I was when I went on Claret and Hugh yesterday, and it's you know, Wilshere's tweeted. Wilshere's tweeted he started following West Ham, and then the next article was, oh, Wilshere's not coming to West Ham, and then today it's just this story after story, and then they everything on each site is contradicting what everyone else is saying. It is a real minefield and not a pleasant time. I think not that I'll be watching the World Cup. I think certainly a little holiday of watching the World Cup for some people might do an awful lot of good, and just take a break from West Ham and see what happens. If nothing's happening in the next month, then we might have some problems.
I think the social media thing, I'm not going to be too critical, because I think it would be a bit hypocritical of myself, especially, and us in general, to start doing that, because we jump on here quite often, like you said, slag the owners off for decisions they've said and things they've said, etc. I think it's just I think it just shows the lack of trust in Sullivan still. Everyone's waiting for him to mess up. Everyone's just waiting for him to pull out of a deal or 2 deals or 3 deals. And then that Pellegrini thing, he said, we're not going to get Bravo from City because we can't afford his wages, who is on 100 grand a week, which is what Joe Hart was on, remember? So it's not too different. But I think people are just waiting for Sullivan to mess up a bit, because there's just no trust there. Do I trust him? No, but I'm going to give him the benefit of doubt because he's done 2 things good so far. But the manager is the big one. But he's now got, you know, a massive transfer kitty, and it's up to him to get the players in. And there was talk that he's not too sure about Pellegrini's director of football. He's going to have to trust the director of football. You can't get the director of football in and only meet him halfway. You've got to go all or nothing. Either you get him in, you give him all the money and say, go on, you go then, but I'm going to be watching what you do if you like, fair enough. Or you don't get him in. If you don't trust him, don't employ him. Would you employ someone you don't trust? Of course you bloody wouldn't. So don't do it just to please the manager. The other thing that I know you think the same as me about this one, because you mentioned it on the YouTube on the second channel, and that is when Stuart Pearce went on Talk Sport and he said, oh, I've never met Karen Brady and David Sullivan. And I'm a bit like you. Again, social media blew this out of proportion, in my opinion, because they all said, well, hang on, that's bad. I think certainly at the start, in the end, they should have met, you know, welcome Stuart, but thanks for your help, Stuart. But in the middle, I don't want him. Stuart Pearce was a coach. He wasn't even the assistant manager. David Moyes should be the only one in the coaching team interacting with David Sullivan and Karen Brady. The rest of them should have nothing to do with the club. I remember Julian Dick saying he only met Karen Brady once, and he was there for 2.5 years. Once he met him, and that was at a photo shoot. But that's the way it should be. Let Karen Beattie doesn't even deal with transfers. Why would she go interact with the coach? Get her, leave her in the offices. David Sullivan's office is at his house. You have to remember that. It's not even at Rusk. It's not even at the stadium. It's not at Rusk. It's in his house. So good. I'm glad he's not meeting these people. I'm glad he's not interfering. We don't want him to. We want them to stay the hell away from Pellegrini and his coaching staff. And if going by Stuart Pearce's comments, that's exactly what they're going to do. So good. I'm glad for this.
Let me just come back to you on one thing quickly.
Yes.
Just on the terms of the social media, and I totally get what you're saying. There's lots of good people on social media who we interact with well, and it's not the criticism. I've got to say, it's the jumping straight to anger. Do you know what I mean? And I do understand that there is a level of mistrust that's been built up by those. And as you saw by my opening statement about Fredericks, I'm not fooled at all. I'll be pleased when I actually spend some money. I'm not fooled by this at all. But it's just it's so up and it's so down. It's not a little bit of criticism. It's just outright outrage. It's outrage, and people are jumping into outrage straight away. And I just want, from my own point of view, I just want to see what's going to happen first. And that thing, I didn't know that something has come out from the Mirror. That was no surprise to me, because I said on the forum this morning exactly what I just said. That I just think it has been blown out of all proportion, and they just wouldn't have had a falling out yet. Much as it's like it confirms what everyone thinks about Sullivan. It would confirm it if he did fall out with Pellegrini 2 weeks into the job. Everyone's saying, "Yeah, oh, I knew it. That's right," you know. And it's. Listen, we hope it. The point is, we hope it hasn't happened, and I don't think it has. Hopefully, they get on, and hopefully, the owner gives the players that Pellegrini wants and needs. But he has to. But let's give him a chance to.
Yeah, totally agreed. Now, do you want to move on to? Well, I will say on that before we get away from the social media thing, move on to players. I can be the same on Twitter. I can be like a red. I am a red rag to a bull when Karen Beattie does her Sun article straight away. I'm like, let's read this, and if she said anything controversial, I can't refrain myself because that gets my blood boiling like that. Everyone has their own pressure points, if you like. And when it comes to things like this, we're able to be calm and go, oh, fine. But when it's Karen Beattie's article, I can't stay calm. That really winds me up. It doesn't matter what she said. As soon as the words West Ham appear, I'm like, doesn't matter what
but she has said something at that point when you're angry. She's written it and she's published it and she said it's you're angry with her. I just think in this instance, there's actually nothing actually happened. I think Sullivan did say anything, and that's I think you're within your rights to do that, because I don't think she should have that column, but she's going to carry on, as you know. Yeah,
but anyway, player transfers. Do you want to start with Pastore first? We haven't discussed him yet. He's sort of been linked with us, and the link's been dismissed, and then he's sort of been linked with us again, all since we've last done a cup of tea. What did you make of this link?
Well, for once, I know of him. I'm not an expert, but he's been there a long time. I think at PSG, he's been a high-profile player for a long time. I think is he 29 possibly, as well. He's clearly a high-quality player. He's a central midfielder, and in many respects, what a lot of people think we need. You're sort of hopeful that he's a playmaker and he keeps it ticking over, because even in a PSG side that won the league at a canter last season and is scoring goals for fun, I think he scored 4 goals last season. Now, I expect anyone that plays in that league for a team that dominant to have scored more than that. So hopefully he's sort of getting the play going, and he's not sort of being earmarked for a number 10 role, which I think it's for Verratti, who plays for them. Maybe he plays slightly more advanced there for them. It's a lot of money, and I think we should spend a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I think we need to spend that. Is he the right guy to spend it all on? I don't know. I'm not so sure. He's absolute quality. He'd be one of the best players at the club. There's no doubt about that. And I think if the manager is saying that he wants him, then you've got to back them. If you promise the manager 75 million and the manager saying that's the guy I want above all others, you've got to go and get him. I was more excited by the geezer from Napoli, though, having said that, even though I know he's a wide player.
I disagree with you on this one in terms of the money. He wants 190 grand a week. No, you can't have that. That's breaking our wage structure, because the next thing is Ananovich is going to say, I want the same, please. Lanzini's contract is up for renewal. Now, the reason I think he hasn't signed it yet, I think he's waiting for this summer transfer windows to happen. Then he'll go, who's the top earner? I'm having that as well, please. I think he's waiting. And Pastore comes in on 190 grand a week. Lanzini straight away, and perfectly rightly so, going to say, I'll have that as well, thank you. We're West Ham United. We can't afford to be paying 190 grand a week yet. We should be getting 2 players for 190 grand a week, splitting it between them. And there should be first 11 players for that price. That's what we should be getting. So I don't. In order for us to get someone like that in, it would have to break the wage structure like that. It would have to be someone seriously special. Now, he would get into our first 11, but I wouldn't class him as seriously special. I mean, Payet's seriously special. This guy, he's injury prone and stuff, and if PSG are happy to let him leave, I know PSG are an elite club and stuff, but there should be a little bit of a warning bell there. I'm not overly fussed by him, but at the same time, I can't claim to watch PSG loads. I don't watch the French league. It's not my type of football. You know, I watch a lot of Premier League and I watch a lot of German football, but French league. But this one, 109 grand a week, I'm looking at purely at wages. As soon as I see our wages, unfortunately, I agree with David Sullivan in this one. No way, Jose. Whoever our top earner is, I think it's Hernandez, 130 grand a week or something. That has to be our maximum this summer. We should not be going above that yet. I would rather us pay a higher transfer fee, lower wages, younger players than. The problem with Pastore is 17.5 million or whatever. That's cheap. It is a cheap fee for what you're getting, but it's the wages. It completely offsets the bargain you're getting on the player. Now, the player you were talking about doesn't play for Napoli. I don't think he plays for Lazio. Anderson.
Sorry. Yes.
Again, it was all the movements, all the rumours that come from Italy on this transfer. To make that clear for people that aren't aware, the rumours on our side of it, the English side of it, is that it's sort of cold. There's nothing really happening. But in Italy, it sounds like the agent, Kia, everyone knows Kia, is trying to push through the transfer, and West Ham seems to be his preferred destination. Are you hopeful for this one? Is this the one that's getting you really excited?
Well, I like the winger. He looked really good. When you say German football, there's a geezer over there, Bailey, who's very good. Leon Bailey, possibly. I mean, I'd like to sign him if we're going to throw £40 million around here and there. You've got to appreciate the financial dominance of the English clubs. I mean, 14 or 15 of the top 20 richest clubs in Europe or the world, let's say. Discount China. Let's just discount China because it's not real money in that sense, because they're not, you know, it's just being put in by the state, if you like. But actually, you know, clubs that generate their own money from television deals, 15 of the top 20 earning clubs in the world are in the Premier League. And Italy knows it. That's why Kia Jarabchin's making all these moves, trying to link him with everybody. That's why. So make no mistake about it, an English club, even one of our stature, that has that much money, can go to a Bundesliga club, can go to a Serie A club and buy their players. Can we go and buy their very best player? Possibly not. But actually, you know, we can go and the lesser teams that aren't Bayern Munich, that aren't Juventus, we can go and make a bid for them. So I'd like us to go and get that guy. Having said that, I like the look of the guy. It's Anderson. His name's Anderson.
Yeah.
He looks really decent. As I said to you on the previous show, can knock it past a player, can run round him, goes off either foot. Looks really good. I'd be very excited about a player like that, and it's just getting more pace into the team, which, you know, which we've needed for quite a while. So yeah, I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, I prefer this deal. I'm talking about the deal here because I don't really know the player. I've read and heard about him the last week and that, but I don't know who he is. But the deal is 40 million or something apparently, because I think they owe, if they sell him, they have to give some of the money to the club they bought him for or something like that. And that's why the fee is so high, because they're trying to protect their own part of the transfer fee, if you like. But his transfer fee is higher than Pastore. It's more than double, but his wages are probably half of Pastore as well. And this is why I prefer younger players and if he comes over to England and he's lightning hot like everybody expects him to be, his value probably doubles literally in 12 months. I mean, we see him with Arnautovic. He's been quoted at 50 million now. He's only played good for 6 months. 6 months of playing well in Premier League and your value goes from 25 million to 50 million just like that. It's sorted. So you get this guy and he plays well. The bigger clubs come sniffing. You're saying, well, top dollar, please. We've got him on a 5-year deal here. You're calling by the richest clubs. Interesting. One thing people need to keep an eye on in 2 years' time. The French football, although I don't watch French football, they've signed a new television deal, and it's now it starts from 2020. So there's still 2 years, because currently we're a lot richer than the French clubs. But in 2 years' time, they've signed a new TV deal which is worth $1 billion, and it's 60% more than what they're currently getting. So their income in 2 years is going to go up quite a lot. So I'm not saying they're going to be as rich as us, but they're not going to be as desperate for our money as they once were. So if you're going to go get talent from the French league, you've got to do it in the next 2 years, because in 2 years' time, they're not poor. They're not skint anymore. They've cashed in. So note that. You might see a lot of people leaving the French league in the next 2 years' time. Jack Wilshere. like you said earlier, there was this whole fake commotion. People saying, "Oh, he's followed the club." Rubbish. The way Twitter do it now. If you click on to see who someone, so if I clicked on Gonzo on Twitter and then clicked on to see who he followed, at the top is who I also follow. That's how they do it. It's not by who Gonzo followed latest. It's not done by that anymore. It's changed. So everybody's clicking on Jack Wilshere, and obviously West Ham fans follow the club. And Mark Noble, they're at the top. They go, "Oh, look who you just followed." No,
Jack Wilshere follows Gonzo.
The worst thing is, right, I've seen people on social media putting up the screenshots of Jack Wilshere's thing, right? And everybody's is different. Some people's got Noble, West Ham, Defoe, Ashton. The next person's got Noble, someone else. And they're all in different orders and stuff. I'm like, how can you not even notice that each other's screenshots are all different? It's all wrong. So it's all, people are just getting excited. And I think people just need to calm down because it's transfer window. I understand it. We're the same. I tell everybody, I like the gossip. I like the rumours. I like discussing it. But sometimes I do think people are just so desperate for anything, they'll cling on to anything, and that's just rubbish. Calm down. But Jack Wilshere, he wants 34 million over 4 years. Would you pay it? Bear in mind, there's no transfer fee here. So, in my opinion, if you were happy to pay 20 million for him in January, which everybody was screaming for, let's take that 20 million out. Suddenly, it's 14 million over 4 years. Not very expensive.
No, I said to Tom Down asked the question a couple of days ago. I replied to him on there, said exactly the same thing. Actually, when you break it down, it's not expensive. It's just really not. So, in today's inflated, ridiculous football fees, it's not really. I think what he wanted was a 5 million signing on fee, and then I think he wanted a 1 million loyalty bonus for a 4-year contract, which takes that to 9 million. Plus, he wanted 100 grand a week. Now, that's, well, he wouldn't even be our top earner on that. And you're getting someone of his quality for 9 million. And let's also state, he is, we do need more flair players. We need that anyway. Pellegrini's want more flair players. And he's a West Ham fan. He comes from a West Ham family. He's seen, everyone's seen the pictures of him as a kid dressed in a West Ham kit. He's even said his dad's a West Ham season ticket holder. So surely we want some of that at West Ham. So yeah, for me, yeah, the fee doesn't bother me at all because it's still cheap.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. It's only because it's a big lump sum. People are viewing it as one big. You don't give him 34 million when he joins. You know, it's spread over the years and stuff. So I think it's because they've bundled up. I mean, if you went and took Marko Navic's package, 25 million, 100 grand a week, so it's over 5 million a year. He's on a 5 year. Did he sign for 5 years? I think he did. That's another 25 million. See, his package is over 50 million, but it doesn't bother me. I don't think he's injury prone either. He's not been injured for a while. He had that leg break. That's different. That's not like a muscular injury or anything like that. That's a one-off. It can happen to any footballer, whether injury prone or not. I think for the last 2.5 years or something, injury-wise, he's been fine. And this summer, Gareth Southgate is giving him all the motivation to go on and become a top player next season. Gareth Southgate is literally handed, whoever gets Jack Wilshere, Southgate is giving him that hunger, if you like. He's lit a fire in him. You've seen his tweets saying, you know, someone tweeted him on Twitter being like, "Oh, now you're not in the squad, Jack. You fancy coming with the lads to Greece?" And he quoted it going, "Well, I'm not doing anything else. What's the dates?" You know, he's had a couple of digs and he tweeted out saying he's disappointed to not be in the England squad. And I think someone said, you know, you just need to concentrate on football. I think it was maybe Piers Morgan or somebody. He replied to Piers going, "What's it got to do with you? I'm obviously going to be in the England squad. Piss off." That guy has got all the motivation in the world. And you say a player, I'll call him a passing player. He can retain possession. That's what I care about. Our centre midfield needs to be able to keep the ball in Pellegrini's system. He will do that. He will. Him and Noble together, they won't lose the ball between them. And I'd be all for it. I'd be delighted. And it goes back to like the Fredericks one. Two players on a free. Perfect. Gives Pellegrini a lot of cash to spend elsewhere in the team. Just quickly on the last player to come in, Mario. He's basically said he's not going back to Inter Milan. He wants to come to the Premier League. He's not said specifically West Ham, understandably. A lot of people are saying it's him hinting at not coming back to West Ham, but to me, I think it's just him keeping his options open in case West Ham don't want him. So he's got 20 clubs, essentially. He's shouting out to 20 clubs saying, "Here, I want you." Would you take him back, and how much would you pay for him? The loan deals are no go by the sounds of it, so that's permanent deal only.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. adverse to that. I think you'd see a better Mario under Pellegrini. Actually, I think you'd see a lot better player. Yeah, I wouldn't pay fortunes for him. Not the 40 million that's quoted. I'm not sure. 15, 20 million, you'd take it, wouldn't you? But we'd have to make sure that he was part of the manager's plans. Is that what he wants? He's not a fast player either. So what's the manager looking at? I think we need fast wide players in central midfield. We need a stopper and we need a passer or box to box, you know. And I don't think he's box to box. Is he going to sit in midfield and just pass and move, pass and move, pass and move? Not so sure. I think he likes to join up with the front and make little partnerships and do little triangles around there. So it all depends on how the manager plays. But you know what? If I felt the manager really wanted him and the manager had said, yeah, go and get him, and we brought him back, then that's fine. If I thought it was a Sullivan signing because it was cheap, and I know you said a loan's out, but but just a loan to save a bit of money, then no. But if he's part of the manager's plans, no problem at all.
I'd be delighted to see him back. I really think he'd fit in Pellegrini's system. I've seen Pellegrini doesn't really play with, I've said this before, but he doesn't really play with wingers. His wide midfielders are encouraged to come inside. I think that would suit Mario perfectly. Him, Lanzini, whether it's Arnautovic or someone else, I think they'd enjoy playing under Pellegrini. Mario goes out on the right, for example, and he's got Fredericks going up past him and stuff. I would love to see Mario back under Pellegrini. We see a completed. He did well under Moyes, I thought, and Moyes was as defensive as you could possibly get. So put him under an attacking manager where the shackles are off. You'll see you will see the £40 million Mario then. I think I wouldn't pay that for him because I think that's part of the reason I'd get him. You'd get him for 25 million, 30 million maybe, but you're getting a player worth a lot more. And all it takes is the right manager, and suddenly his value's gone up a little bit. One player we're talking about going out, Antonio, he's linked with Palace, now he's linked with Burnley. Would you be sad to see him go, or do you think it's time to cash in? There's a lot of mixed opinions on this one.
Yeah, I would be sad to see him go. Antonio's brilliant. He's absolutely fantastic. It's easy to remember him struggling with fitness in the past season, but he's a really good player. He's had his positions switched left, right and centre. Literally, he has played left, right and centre. He's got a wonderful ability to score goals. It's the hardest commodity in football, and he scores goals. He really does. Great in the air. Not the most technically gifted, but his strength and his pace seems to still allow him to get past players, even though he might not have the most flamboyant of skills. He can still beat a man. Yeah, I'd be disappointed to see him go. Having said that, I don't think he particularly fit into Pellegrini's style for the reason that I just said about the technique and whatnot. And also, I can see him at Palace. I can see him playing under Hodgson. Hodgson, really, like you just said about Pellegrini doesn't really like wide players as such, and Hodgson does. I mean, they go wide, they stay. He's a very, very orthodox, old-style English manager, and I could really see him appealing to both Hodgson and Dyche, actually, but I'd like to keep him.
Yeah, as I say, I could see him excelling at Burnley. I think he'd almost be a cult hero up there with his style of play and that. This one, the club get a pass for me on this one. If we keep him great, and we know what we're getting when he's fit and stuff, and he's a good asset to have. But they sold him. As long as they got over 20 million for him, I could understand why they're selling him. The club get a pass on this because I can't. If there's a question from someone on Twitter about which players will do well under Pellegrini, we'll come on to that. But I was thinking about which players might struggle under Pellegrini, and Antonio is one of the first names that springs to mind because he's going to encourage pass and move and stuff. And part of me wonders if Antonio can do the passing part. But there was some times where he surprised us the season before last, like these 3 assists against Palace. For all his critics, he turned up that day and he looked like he could actually play football. You do wonder if he is capable of passing. He's just a bit greedy, that's all. And maybe that's where Pellegrini needs to coach out of him. I think some of the players, including Antonio, is probably one of the ones I will pick out as a priority here. I've maybe had it a bit easy under Moyes and Bilic to the extent that there's just no competition. They're too good to be dropped because of what they could do on the day type thing. And having Pellegrini come in with his hard taskmaster, if you like, say, well, you don't work hard, you're out the squad, and if you're out the squad, you're in the transfer market. might see a different Antonio, just like we might see a few other players buck up their ideas very quickly. Free pass for me for this one. One thing I'll talk about quickly about the transfer market is I think this has gone majorly overlooked, and that's our English quota, because you need 8 last season. Well, it's not English quota, it's homegrown quota. You need 8. Last season we had 8, but that included James Collins and Joe Hart. Now Ryan Fredericks takes one of those places, but we still need one. And the players we're talking about selling, Byram, Antonio, Carroll, Hugo, they're all part of the homegrown quota. I think we need to be dangerously clever here a little bit, and this is why I would like to see us sign Sam Johnson as a keeper, just to get us that one tick, cheap keeper, in we go, or Tom Heaton, for example. Does it worry you, or are you quite calm about this? Because I'm getting a bit cautious that we're going to end up having to register players in the squad that we shouldn't be registering, i.e. Moses McCassie or Reece Burt. We're going to have to keep him rather than loan him out purely because we need him to tick a box.
I hadn't even thought about it until we did your tube last week, reading through the comments, and there it was. Bang. Somebody had, apologies for not remembering who did it, but I said at the time, yeah, hadn't even considered it. But oh my goodness, that is a real consideration there. In your squad that you have to name, of course, the under-21s don't count towards it automatically. So they are almost free passes, you know. Yes, and the links aren't great that we've heard, unless the Wilshere one is true. In the main, they do seem to be foreign players, so it is going to require a little bit of creative thinking, and that certainly feeds back into what we were just discussing with Antonio. Because if that's the case, then can we even afford to let Antonio go from a numbers sense? Because Antonio, whether you think he should go or whether you think he should stay, he's a first-team caliber player who is English.
You need to be careful, though, because once other clubs know that you're struggling for homegrown, the price goes up. Ross Barkley to Chelsea. Whenever Man City go after a homegrown player, everyone goes, we know why you're coming after him. You know, we know why you want this person. It's because you're trying to fill your quota. So double for you, please. Thank you very much. And it comes to the end of the transfer window, and you're missing one or two. The papers will have it everywhere. West Ham need 2 homegrown players, etc., or they're going to have to register Oxford and Rice, which is fine. But like you said, they're like 3 shots, if you like. Or we're going to have to keep players. Burke and Cullen and Moses McCassie are not going to be able to go out on loan because they're going to have to stay here to tick a box. And I think that's unfair on those young players, that they're going to be denied the chance of going out and playing first-team football and staying at West Ham just so that we can meet a quota. So I think we need to be clever with our signings in the next 2 weeks, whether that's Wilshere, whether it's a keeper that's homegrown. We need to think about this because the players that Pellegrini probably wants to sell are probably homegrown. Byram is the prime example here. He's been linked away. As soon as you do that, that's 2 homegrown players you need before you bring anyone in. So keep your eye on that one. As we said, record season ticket renewals at West Ham, 92%. Were you surprised by that? Quite a high figure. Is the Pellegrini factor?
I think so. Yeah, I was surprised by it and not even sure that I believed it, but there must have been a big surge towards the end, which I can't criticise. I would have been one of them. So, yeah, it certainly was. They were worried at a point because not too long before the end, it was at the sort of low to mid 80s. So there was quite a few thousand who renewed in the last 2 or 3 days. So, yeah, but you know what? Fair enough. They were always going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat to get bums on seats. As I've always maintained, it's always difficult for a club that traditionally had 34,000 seats in a stadium to then have 55, 57, whatever the official attendance might be. That's a big ask, and you've got to provide an incentive to make people come into the stadium. So, yeah, the Pellegrini, well, I'm sure, was a big factor.
I think so. There was a Moyes factor, and then there was a Pellegrini factor. I think the 2 of them together. Whoosh. I renewed on about 1 p.m. on the last day or something. I forgot about my club cash the day before, so I lost out £14. Damn it!
I should say I couldn't apply mine. I only had £5, but I got to add it, and it went through all the procedure. You can add it. Then at the end, it was missing from the total, and I'm sure a lot of people did this. I thought, I just want to get it done, and it was a £5. You know, I think had it have been 50 quid, I probably would have, phoned up and kicked up a bit of a stink. But it went, and I think there was a £4 Visa charge or something like that. By the time I'd all done it, the £5 had gone, and it wasn't even accounted for. So yeah, I'm sure that a a few fivers would have gone. I read a couple of people on the forum who'd done it, and they did actually contact the ticket office, and the ticket office sorted them out and talked them through it. But I do think the system, which has been the Ticketmaster system, was having trouble. So I think even if you had got there, you lost yours £14 for being slightly late. Even when you got there on time, like myself, I think you still missed out on some of your club cash.
Yeah, McCarthy and Dan Kemp today signed a new deal at the club. Did you see that? He's surprised by McCarthy. He's 23 in September. This geezer needs to be playing now.
Yeah, I was surprised.
What they're keeping him for? Are they planning on loaning him out, or is this part of the homegrown quota? They're thinking, crap, this guy's a cheap option for filling that quota if we need him to be. He's a few grand a week. Keep him.
Well, I could name quite a few players who I fancy at the, in a development squad and younger players. And he's certainly not ever been one that I've mentioned. And I've seen him play as well, Geo. And I don't. He's got the stature. He's a big lad, fast. He's got all the physical attributes, athletic attributes. But I've seen plenty of people stand out in youth games and whose names I've mentioned before. But I was surprised at that. Dan Kemp, almost the opposite, actually. He doesn't have those physical attributes. He's skinny and light. Look like a gust of wind could blow him over. But he does. He's quite sharp. He's good with the ball. So yeah, I can see that. I can see him developing on.
He's good. I like Kemp. I like what I see of Kemp. He's probably the one that goes under the radar a little bit in the under 23s. But McCarthy's only got a 1-year deal. I think that says a lot to me. Like, it's not a sign of faith, is it? It's like one last chance, or you're filling the homegrown quota. But that's just me putting two and two together and coming up with a McCarthy 1-year deal. But anyway, time for your questions. If you're on YouTube, put them into the live chat or try and write them down. But we'll head over to the Twitter ones first, which people sent on earlier. If you're all on Twitter, follow us at @hammers_chat. And then before the show, it's usually on a Wednesday, and you can just tweet us your questions and we will get through them. If you don't get through them, it's because I knew we were going to be discussing them in this show, and I don't bother saving them. But the first one is from @1985WHU. Which of our current squad, with the right playing position and the team playing the right style, would you say has the potential to step up a level?
Step up a level?
What do you think is going to improve under Pellegrini?
Well, I think Lanzini will improve. I think he has got many levels to improve. I think Chicharito will get better, but is he stepping up a level? I think you can't say someone that's played for Real Madrid and Man United stepping up a level by playing well for West Ham, but I think he'll improve. I actually do. I think Rice is just going to continue to get better, not because of Pellegrini. I just think he's going to continue to get better. I think Cresswell. I think he might like Cresswell as well, particularly if he's playing in. He wants to keep the ball and retain the ball. I think he might spring a surprise. I think a lot of people are just expecting him to play Masuaku, a left back. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cresswell gets in there. He's underrated for, I think, the way he retains the ball, his ball control, and his delivery. Cresswell on it, and his passing as well. I think someone who was on his way out as well was Domingos Quina. And I think he was going out. And I can almost see a situation where if he impresses in training, and I saw him at the under-17s play, and he's been playing in the tournament just recently, Toulouse tournament possibly. He's very, very technically gifted. Wouldn't be surprised if Pellegrini actually looks at him and someone like Nathan Holland as well. I think actually these can do a job for me in terms of the style of football that I play. We'll be going up a level. Not so sure you'd call it that, but I think he'll do well with Pellegrini, and maybe some others not doing quite so well.
I think Cresswell and Noble are my main two players that can play football on the deck, and I think they've been hung out to dry a little bit by previous managers and been scapegoated by fans. We lose. I can almost guarantee someone's blaming Cresswell regardless of what Cresswell have done in the game. I think them two, like you said, I think Cresswell will be our left back. I do think he will, and I hope he is actually. I think he's a good left back when he has cover in front of him, which he might get under Pellegrini. I think Noble as well, because again, we're going to actually start playing football for once, and he's going to have someone to pass to. This is assuming Chiari gets out of the team, obviously, but he's going to have someone to pass to. He's not going to be standing there on his own in the middle of the pitch, looking around. Everyone's just watching him, going, well, what are you going to do with it? And then I'll agree with Lanzini purely because I think he's Champions League player, and we didn't see that last year. He was very injury inflicted as well. I think we have to remember that his season was very stop-start. But when he got going, it was in the middle of the season. When he got going with Arnautovic, he was on a different level, Lanzini. He is class, which leads me on to my next question. I think people will know my answer to this. It's your answer. They're probably interested. At Oliver State Place says, if you had to sell Lanzini or Arnautovic, who would you sell?
I'd sell Arnie. I'd sell Arnie. Yeah, I'd love Lanzini. It's my type of player, Lanzini. I'm not saying Arnautovic isn't, but listen, he's younger. He's got more potential to improve. I also think, if you remember it's like Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy's no spring chicken, but there's not an ounce of fat on him. He'll continue playing. He's so fast still. He's like a whippet. And you look at Giggs as well, and Teddy Sheringham even. You know, he still looks the same now as when he played for us. He was playing for us in his 40s. The guys that are carrying no timber, they play on a lot later. I mean, he's a big boy, Arnautovic. So I don't think he's going to be somebody that's going to be playing to the same level at 32, for instance. So I just think, you know, I'd rather keep Lanzini and, again, for more potential for improvement.
Yeah, I would sell Arnautovic. Like was discussed last, I'd happily sell him this summer anyway if the money came along. Lanzini, not a chance. Lanzini and Rice are the only two players. No, I don't want to see so. They're the only two players I would not put a price on. And speaking of Rice, that's my next question. At Ben Allen, 37, what position do we play Rice in next season? Because obviously he played centre-back for us, excelled, but friendlies, he's playing for Ireland in centre midfield, excelling and getting man of match. And there's suggestions that the reason we're not limiting the defensive midfielders is because Pellegrini's looking at Declan Rice, putting him in there. And this is why we're getting linked with £20 million centre-backs.
Yeah, done fantastically well, didn't he, with Ireland? We've got a guy on the forum, Cork Hammer, who's been updating us and telling us all about how he's been doing. So just such a tremendous, fantastic player. I just hope Pellegrini's been keeping up with it, and Pellegrini knows how good he is. I'm sure he does. I'm sure it's been explained to him. And if, as been rumoured, Pellegrini has been watching West Ham since December, which we think is when he was first approached, he'll know all about Declan Rice. What position will he play? Who knows? I don't know what Pellegrini's thought process is.
Where would you play him?
Centre-back.
See, I'm torn on this one, really, but I think a decision needs to be made this season, and I think he needs to be put in one and concentrate. Now, we can't control Ireland. If we're playing him centre-back, and then he goes to Ireland and plays centre, it's fine. We can't deal with that. That's a bit like what... But I don't want him to turn out to be like Phil Neville, where he's got about 8 different positions. You know, no, I don't. I want him to have one, and he concentrates on that. And the funny thing is, I know, in fact, last season, Declan Rice didn't know what position he wanted to play. And I get it, but at the same time, he needs a position to make his own. He needs his shirt in the team, his position. We need to decide now, or someone needs to decide, whether it's Declan, whether it's even Terry Wesley, who's seen him through his development, or whether it's Pellegrini. Someone needs to decide where he's playing. I'd play him centre-back as well, because we know what he can do last season. In defensive midfield, I think Zabaleta's possibly the answer there, or bring one in.
Well, I think there's also the fact there's a lot of people that could do what he could do in central midfield. I think there's a lot of those available. There's not too many centre-backs that can bring the ball out like he can, that are as comfortable on the ball, and to be able to read the game and the leadership at such a young age. I think he could do a job, and I think he'd be decent in central midfield. I think he could be truly outstanding at centre-back and bring the ball forward and make an additional midfielder. And I think he'd enjoy playing centre-back under Pellegrini as well.
At Curtin Hammer, Daz says, if Winston Reid leaves, who should be made vice-captain?
Go with Declan Rice. Why not?
Bloody hell. Zabaleta for me. The experience, Pellegrini knows him like there's no tomorrow. I think Declan Rice's time will come. But I think we need to take as much pressure off Declan as possible. He's already got a lot on his shoulders.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
He's excelling in it. You know, he probably doesn't mind it, but he's got a long time before he becomes. He has to be captain. I don't think at 19 years of age, I don't think throwing that responsibility on him and saying you need to take command of Marko Arnautovic up front. I don't think we should be putting that on his shoulders.
No, I'll tell you what though. I saw Tony Adams get made captain. Well, one of the best defenders I've ever seen in my life, by the way, Tony Adams. I think he got made captain of Arsenal at something like either 20 or 21. Terry got made captain very, very young as well. I know it's different. But I remember Will Carlin being made captain again at 21 for England rugby team. Sometimes you are just outstanding natural leadership qualities, and I don't think it would faze him. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, neither. But I just think the game's changed since then. 10 years ago, would your captain have been able to say to your striker, "There's egos in the game now. They've got bigger." Would Arnautovic listen to a 19-year-old Declan Rice? You would like to think so, but at the same time, you couldn't be sure. But if he had 33, 34-year-old Zabaleta getting on at him, he's going to have to listen. I just think it's too soon. In a couple of years, yes. I mean, in a year's, if you give it to Zabaleta in a year's time, you've got to pick another one anyway. But not yet, not yet. At Liam WHU 95, a quick one says, if I was to win 9 million on the lottery, could I then be referred to as a Hugo-lionaire?
A Hugo-lionaire. I like that, Liam. I like it. I like it. Well, Hammer's chat if you want, mate. Well, you're 9 million, you know what I mean?
Hammer, he's been a bit of a rascal with this, so I'm going to ask it. He said, now the ladies are in the top flight and are looking to sign top international players and manager, do you think they should get in an experienced managing director and general manager, as those two positions were more or less self-appointed?
Probably he's been cheeky. All right, no, seriously, Alan. Listen, I think Jack has done a decent job there, hasn't he? Clearly, I didn't know. Apparently, he's generated all the funds himself. You said that last time. So it's cost 300 grand to get in the league. You said, and he's generated that from sponsorship. That in itself shows some entrepreneurial spirit, and I think that's fine. The general, I don't know. I've only just got my head around director of football. I don't know what a general manager does. Does the West Ham team, like the men's team, have a general manager?
No.
Right. So I mean, I take it then they're coaching, or it's a weird position, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure either. No. It's like, I think it's the go between Jack and the coaching staff, if you like. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's that. Listen. Okay, so I don't know. What I would suggest is that maybe as they go up, if they've gone up, it's going to be highly competitive in that league, because we know Man City and Arsenal and Chelsea throw lots of money at their ladies team, so they're going to find it difficult anyway. I would imagine they're going to need some new coaches anyway. But if the general manager's not doing any coach, I don't know. Do you even need a general manager? I don't know. I don't know how it. I wouldn't change it, because, well, on the pitch, you know, the thing is, Abbott goes to the games regularly, so he's more in a better place to speak than me and you are about the ladies.
Yeah.
That's just our opinion. But my opinion is Jack's done a fantastic job. And I think Karen's done just a good one, because off the pitch, there's only positivity coming out from the ladies' team off the pitch. And them two are the driving force off the pitch. Karen works for the foundation and does a lot.
So Karen is the general manager?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
right, okay.
She took charge as manager for the end of the season last year, and then she sort of stepped back from that. And
so did they get a, when she stepped out of being the manager, which I take it we mean like head coach, did somebody else come in as a manager, and then she went up to take an administrative role? Is that what's happened?
She was the general manager, and then they sacked the team manager, and she took temporary charge of the team until the end of the season. Now she stepped back into her first role, which is general manager, and they're going to be recruiting top manager. And there's a couple of people they've been linked with that they've got a vast CV in ladies football, and there's a couple of players they've been linked to that are quite, they cost a lot of money though.
Sensible though. Sensible. Get someone that's experienced in that league, because really what you've got is a bunch of girls there, as far as I can see, unless they make a whole new squad, who are part-time, who are now going to have to become full-time footballers. Now, I guess they're not going to be paid a bomb. There's going to be some with some tricky decisions to make, because some of them are just going to have jobs where I would imagine to play for West Ham ladies, they're going to be being offered a wage that's less than they're currently earning for their job. So for somebody with a mortgage, that's going to be a hell of a decision for some people to make, certainly. So how much of that is then allocated towards the coach who's going to want money? It's tough. That's no easy football club to run. That's for sure.
No, I wouldn't change it. The key for me, though, is last thing on this. The key for me is Karen and Jack trust each other. I think that's the big key thing here. They've worked together for over a year now. They trust each other, know each other. Hopefully, they can make things work, and we'll keep our eye on them next season. Now, moving on to the YouTube questions, we've got a few of them to get through, and I'll take some more. 32X says, one player that we're linked with, who would you sign? We've been linked with quite a lot. I mean, let's go right back to a month ago as well. So there's other players that we've not spoke about, this Marlon, the defender, etc. But if you could sign one,
if I could sign one, I would. It would be a central midfielder, because that's where I think that's the thing that would do it. And bearing in mind, I can only think of two who we've been linked with, which is Pastore and Dewberry Wiltshire. I'm gonna have to go with Wiltshire.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I'm tempted to say, no, I'll switch it. Tom Heaton, that's who I would bring in. Tom Heaton, that'd be my signing. We're linked with.
But then you are going with a midfield for next season
because
I'd say it Noble again.
No, I'd have Zabaleta over, but only because we've not been linked with a centre midfielder apart from Wilshere. I really want yet. There is Carvalho to an extent, but I'd like to think there's a niche midfielder we're linked with tonight. But Arsenal, Chelsea have want him as well. I'm not even going to bother. That's why I've not mentioned him. I don't know who he is. He plays for Nice. So Ben says, who's the better dancer out of the two of us?
Without a shadow of a doubt, it would be Geo. I'm an atrocious dancer. It's abysmal. It's terrible.
I am like, if I was a penguin, I would be happy feet.
There we go. You're getting no boasts here. No one's boasted about their dancing capabilities. That's for sure.
That bat and ball has seen it all. Maybe not.
It doesn't stop me. I don't mind being a better dancer. It doesn't stop me. I did some break dancing at my wedding. Crikey.
Oh dear. Chris Perry says, is there any way of finding out your position on the waiting list? This is more of a general inquiry, really. I didn't realise we were a customer service at West Ham, but no.
Put him on hold.
This to be fair, this is a bit part of the big topic, though, isn't it? It's why the club are still refusing to give people their places. People have contacted us. They're on the forum. They're on other forums, etc., saying, we keep asking the ticket office, what position am I in the waiting list for a season ticket so I can work out if I've got a chance of getting one? And they're getting a load of excuses. Oh, only the manager has access to that. Well, go get me the bloody manager then. Oh, well, we're updating the spreadsheet. You'll find out in due course. Nobody knows. To put it bluntly, Gonzo, it's a bit of a scam.
Well, I want to speak out of total respect here, because probably one of my most favourite departments in the club is the ticket office department, and I think they are brilliant. And I'm talking to people that actually work there.
They just do as they're told. They
are fantastic. They're so helpful, really, really helpful. And I sometimes I can be a real pain in the bum, and they're just so good, particularly as we share my season ticket around me, my son and my old man and stuff like that. And they're ever so helpful. What's going up on a higher level, I couldn't say. I tell you the thing about when you say, is it a scam? No, I am still on that waiting list, and it actually says on my thing when I renewed that not only do I have a season ticket, one for me, one for my son, I am also on the waiting list. Now, clearly, I'm not waiting for a ticket because I have one, so I must be counted in towards a number. So I might well be ahead of someone in that, in the list. But if it ever did come down to me, I would just, obviously there's a glitch in the system, I'd be saying, well, actually, I don't need one, I've got two. So I guess they'd move down to the next one. I don't know. But as I say, I just think they do. The people that work in the ticket office do a really good job.
Yeah, I'm not criticising the staff.
I know you won't.
It's the whole shadiness of it. If you sign up to a waiting list, I think you should be entitled to know what position you are on the waiting list, and you should take a simple phone call. What's your name? All right, yeah, this is your position. But they can't do it. But why can't they do it? Either they don't want to tell you, or they haven't a clue. And I'm edging towards the line. Actually, I'm very far.
Or the system is just crap. Look what happened with my £5. Look what happened with the fact it still thinks on the. Maybe the Ticketmaster system is rubbish. The whole computerized system, or whoever does maybe the software is rubbish.
They only moved to that when we moved stadium. They were on something else at Upton Park when this waiting list was already underway and stuff. So I don't think they can blame on ticket. They probably will try and blame on Ticketmaster, but they were with another ticketing company before, and maybe it was a migration from one ticket place to the other that the whole thing's gone kaput. But in that case, how are you possibly then contacting the right people last summer and this summer? How do you know? You don't know. But the worst thing is they're still encouraging people to pay £10 to join up. They should say no one's joining the wait list because we need to sort what we've got. We don't know. It's gone wrong. We're sorting it. But until then, and the fact is there's 48,000 on the waiting list, according to the club. So you're not going to get one this summer, and you're probably not going to get one next summer. So you don't need to worry about joining the waiting list until we sort this, and then we will open it back up. But they're not. They're taking people's money, and those people's money they're taking, they don't know where they are on the waiting list. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's bad. That's not a clever system at all.
It's I don't want to call it a scam because legally I don't know if that's correct, but it's not right. Morally, it's wrong. And I'm not, like I said, it's not the ticket office staff because they're just doing as they're told. They're just doing their job. But somewhere up the food chain needs to stop this and cut it off and say no more. But the worst thing is not only are they encouraging people, it's in your metro down there. They're taking out full page ads, join the waiting list for £10 and stuff. So they're paying money to advertise it when actually, well, sort it and let people know what position they are on the wait list. We know people waiting for a season ticket, and they haven't a clue if they're going to get one in the summer or not. There's only, 92% renewed, so that's 10% is 5,000, so there's about 4,100 tickets available. No one knows if they're in that 4,100, and it's not right. It's not right. Customer service, poor. Everyone should know what position you're on. You should, if you're on the waiting list right now, you should be able to look at it and go 6,000. I've got an outside chance of getting one. I'm going to save my money just in case. You look at it and go 3,000. You go guaranteed to be getting a phone call. Will I get the band I can afford? Will I get a seat? I don't know. That's impossible to tell. I'm guaranteed to get a phone call this summer and offer me a ticket. I'm going to keep my money. And if you're 15,000, you're going to go, well, there's not a bloody chance of me getting a season ticket, so I can go on holiday or something. But the reason all these people can't do that is because no one knows what position they are. Anyway, this was a positive one until just now. Chris Perry's wound me up.
Listen, no one can argue with a word you said there. That's absolutely right and absolute common sense.
Craig says, would you take finishing in the bottom half next season if it meant attacking football and a lot more goals?
Yeah. I'd particularly take it if it meant a cup run. As we said, yeah. I don't want to. Would I be happy with boring our way to 8th place? Not really. I'll take a few losses on the way if we're going to get some 3-0 wins, you know. I want some nice days out. I'm actually looking forward to next season to go and attack. Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what West Ham is about. That is our tradition. That's what we do.
I completely agree with that. Attacking football is all I want to see. And if it means, bottom half's quite subjective. Is he talking 11th or 17th? There's a massive difference between two.
Sure.
But 11th could be 2 points behind 8th or something. That's how close it could be. But yes, I am more than happy to finish in the bottom half to see attacking football. But you touched on there, the cups are the priority for me. Chris Alfie Hammer says, where must Pellegrini finish next season as a minimum? Tied into the last question.
I don't think he must finish anyway. I think we mustn't flirt with relegation. I think to pay somebody however much he's getting, let's say 7-8 million a year, for him to be the 3rd highest paid manager in the league or whatever, we can't flirt with relegation. As long as he's given his money, we can't flirt with relegation. But apart from that, you know, crack on, play some good football, finish 13th, gets a semi-final of a cup. You will not hear me complaining. I might on an individual game if we've been dumped or something. But, you know, I will not. Overall, I will not complain about that at all.
I completely agree with you. The results aren't priority to me. Richie Van Rock says, do you think Pellegrini could or would walk if he isn't backed?
No. I don't think he'd go to that. He really negotiated hard for his contract. I think the board tried to offer him 4 or 5 million, and he really negotiated hard to get it up by 2-3 million. Pellegrini is probably worth about 30 million quid. All right. Anybody that negotiates, and this contract was either going to be worth another, 15 million quid to him or more. Anyone with 30 million pound in the bank who's guaranteed at least another 15, who argues over 3, is someone that's bothered about money, and certainly not somebody who's going to walk out on that money. So no, and I think it's been blown out of all proportion anyway. I don't think there is this problem where he's about to walk out. I think he's on holiday with his wife. His wife doesn't live over here, for those of you who don't know. His wife never follows him to a club. His wife stays in Chile, so and lives there with a family. So this is his precious time. He's away. I just think it's a storm in a teacup. I think he'll be coming back, and then he'll get down to work.
I don't think he'll walk either, but I'd be intrigued to see what he would do if he didn't get back with money, because Pellegrini's always been quite transfer market based. Like when he was at Malaga, he made that big deal about signing Ruud van Nistelrooy. When he was at Malaga, that was like his marquee signing one summer. I mean, he was granted Van Nistelrooy was like 34 years of age or something, but this ties in with what he's saying about getting a great player in. That's exactly what he did then. I don't think he'll walk, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did what he did with the comments, but he would apply the context, which wouldn't necessarily be nice. The difference between Pellegrini and Bilic and Moyes, for example, Pellegrini's got the media in Chile. It's quite evident that he's a big person in Chile, and understandably so. So I think if he had an issue, he probably knows journalists all over the place over there. He could go to and contact them and get a story out like that. That's not something Moyes or Bilic had the ability to do, because Sullivan controls the media quite well over here to an extent. So that's one thing Sullivan has on his side. Pellegrini, a different kettle of fish. He's doing us a favour to an extent rather than where in the past, the last two managers we've had, I think we've done them a favour, and it's almost like it's had that sort of feel about it. Sullivan's been the bigger one in out that relationship, if you like. I think tables have turned here a little bit. I think Sullivan's now got someone who's bigger than him in front of him. It could be interesting if things do go tits up. And I think it's almost going to scare Sullivan into getting the checkbook out a little bit because he's going to have to. He's got no other option now. Last question. 32X says, if he finds someone on Tinder that's really pretty but she supports Spurs, what should he do?
You got to go. Listen, you got to go on a date, but treat her mean. If you know what I mean. Go through the motions, then you know, just stop short of the full commitment. I think would be the you know, the good one. You got to get out there before it gets too serious. Have your fun, you know, and wash your hands of it.
Well, if she supports Spurs, it means she likes the cock. So as long as she does,
and the ball.
As long as she doesn't dribble like Harry Kane.
Yeah, if you go around her house, ask her if her cabinet's empty. Yeah, be good fun. Be good fun. Go for it. Love holds no bounds. My wife used to be an Aston Villa fan. No, she wasn't really into football. But no more. She comes to West Ham. She even lost her Brummie accent.
Oh dear. Right, anyway.
Listening. I need to say something. Doc Savage, who trolls us regularly on Twitter. It was his birthday the other day, so happy birthday. But do you realise he watches us on a 60-inch TV? Like, we're on a big screen in his house. He's got like a home cinema, and he watches. Not just us. He watches all the videos. Not on a little laptop or on his phone on a 60. That bloody mosquito must be like a pterodactyl on his screen at the moment. So happy birthday to Doc, and get well soon to Side Beaks.
Indeed. But anyway, that's it from us. That's us been sitting here for over an hour boring years. Congratulations on making it to the end, of course. Tomorrow night, Thursday, and we will have our transfer deadline show. Myself with two guests. Mike's one of them. Don't know who the other one is. I've not arranged it. I'm a bit lazy. But that's been Gonzo. I've been Geo, been Hammer's Chat. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. And we'll be back very, very soon with another cup of tea. Keeping you up to date with all the latest West Ham going on. And of course, our fantastic Tinder advice. What more could you